Welcome back to Behind the Scenes. This is Lisa Condit. I'm here with Troy Siebels and Jeremy Lawrence, our new actor starring as Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge. And one of our favorite things is how Troy takes Jeremy and transforms Scrooge from cranky to cheerful.
Is that what happens?
That is totally what happens. Troy, step right up and tell us a little bit about your special adaptation.
I just love this story. I've been doing this. This is my 12th, I think, year of directing A Christmas Carol. It's my adaptation, and it's very traditional to the Dickens. Dickens wrote a lot of language in dialogue format, so you just lift it right out of the book. And the pieces that he didn't write as dialogue, you create to try to be as true to what you think the message and the story is as you possibly can. I'm really having a great time working with Jeremy and working with some new cast members this time. It just breathes a whole new life into it.
Totally. And you know what? Jeremy is a new Scrooge, and he's completely different than our past Scrooge. And one of the nice things is Troy has a whole team at the Hanover Theatre, but he has a team at the Christmas Carol as well. We've been fortunate enough to talk to Gail Buckley, who's been doing the costumes. And then we also had Tim Evans, and he talked about how he really infuses the special music into everything and takes advantage of the organ. And he's the one that gave me the idea from cheerful to cranky because that's his favorite part of the story. But this year, you actually went to New York to audition Scrooges. We did.
We did auditions here in Worcester and in Boston, and we had a couple roles that we had not yet filled. We went down to New York, and we saw some great actors. And Jeremy's the very first person we met with in New York and the very best person we met with in New York, and just couldn't be happier.
Oh, that's great. Can you just tell the people who are listening a little bit about that audition process? Because, again, I think sometimes people think, because here we are in Worcester, community theater, and this is anything but community theater. This is a world-class production here.
Sure. I mean, we work with the same agents and casting agencies that lots of larger regional theaters or New York shows or touring productions use, and it's just we look at a bunches of headshots and resumes beforehand and sort of pick out people that seem like they have the right kind of credentials and the right kind of background and have the right look. And then we spend some time with all of those people and at the audition process. And the trick is really what can you do in 5 minutes in an audition room, a boring white audition room with a table and chairs, that's going to be enough of a clue as to what it's going to be like to work with this person for 3 weeks and have them perform for 20,000 people on your stage. And I think a lot of it is just sort of a sense. So you just get a sense of the person, and the personality has a lot to do with it.
And so what were you really looking for in Scrooge?
Crotchety, and Jeremy was crotchety. Boy. No. I believe strongly that Scrooge can't be a cutout. He can't be a stereotype. He is the way he is because of the choices he's made in life, but he's made all of those choices based on the very best intentions, and those choices have led him to where he is, but he's not a bad person. He's not an evil person. You really need to be able to make that character lovable, likable from the very beginning, even though he's angry at Cratchit, even though he's not a very generous guy, you still have to be able to identify with him. And so I think that it just needs an actor that's able to find those nuances.
It's just like The Office, Troy.
That's right.
So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you come from, and how'd you hear about this production at the Hanover Theatre?
Well, I'm a born and bred New Yorker. I've been a professional actor for some 40 years now, which takes a lot of endurance and a lot of survival skills. And I was thrilled to get the audition, and I was lucky enough to get to the audition a little early.
Ooh.
And the reader was not there yet, so Troy and I got to sit down and talk, and we had this fantastic conversation. And all the time we were having the conversation, I said, this conversation is going so much better than any audition I could possibly give. So I was very nervous when it finally came back to coming in and doing the reading, and I left feeling, well, I did my best, but I didn't think it was so good, but I guess it was good.
It was.
It's all about the connection, Jeremy.
Well, it's a thrill to be doing this role. It's a role that I think many actors aspire to. It's one of the great ones, and that's why so many great actors have taken it in on in film as well as in the theater.
And you have experience both with TV, theater, everything. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, my first television appearance was delivering Richie's baby on Happy Days.
All right. I saw that episode.
It was the 10th anniversary of the show, so it was a major show. And I have many memories, one of which was how wonderful Henry Winkler was to me. But the other one was when we actually had the babies on camera. We had twin redhead babies, and we had to shoot that before the live shooting, of course, because you could only have the babies in the lights for a short period of time. And all the women in the show surrounded the set that this was being shot at, and they were all weeping.
Oh, of course they were.
And I originally was supposed to be a very funny, crazy doctor, but at the end of the week, the producers came to me and said, we can't have a crazy doctor deliver Richie's baby. And that was the beginning of my television career, and since then I've done a lot of sitcoms, and I just did a Law and Order. I always say SUV, but it's SVU. I've done some film, and I'm going to be doing a film right after this is finished.
Ooh.
But primarily my work has been on the stage, which is my
in front of a live
love.
audience.
In front of a live audience, and there's nothing like it. And I can't wait to have the opportunity to be in front of 2,300 people at the Hanover Theatre.
So tell us a little bit about that connection you get with the 2,300 people. What makes live the best?
Well, I always say that a play doesn't happen on the stage, and it doesn't happen on the page, but it happens somewhere between the audience and the stage. The theater is at its best when it brings people together, and we're all in the room together, and we're all celebrating the event. And there's no easier and more wonderful event to celebrate than A Christmas Carol.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
When you wake up from it all as a redeemed person.
Well,
So a lot of times, Troy has people singing and dancing during this production, which is one of my favorite parts. Do you do some singing and dancing as well?
well, I have interjected myself in my own crotchety way into at least the Wassail song. And there may be some singing and dancing yet to come, but it's great to be surrounded by such wonderful, talented performers. Mm-hmm.
It really is. It really is. And, when you're sitting in the audience of A Christmas Carol, there is magic in the air. Not just from the fog machines, not just from the lights and the music, but really there is magic in the air.
Well, the story has existed for, who can do the math, 170, 60, 70, whatever years.
There, yeah.
It's almost as old as I am. And it is perhaps Dickens' most loved story.
Well, it's certainly endured, and it's certainly timeless, and the same themes hold true today.
Absolutely. One of the things it's an incredible picture of a complete society. And what Troy has done in his adaptation is keep a lot of the narration, which is so important to the richness and the fabric of the story. I mean, it's a story of redemption in a period of time which is pretty harsh. And to create a world where not only does a man who has isolated himself from the world join the world, but in doing so, he will redeem the health of a child.
Isn't that nice? I know, I love it. What's your favorite scene out of everything?
The turkey boy scene.
I love that, yeah.
When I auditioned for Troy, I said, can I just read that scene because I've always wanted to do it? And now I'm going to really do it.
So I got to be the turkey boy at the
Oh,
audition,
my goodness. So
We only had one side, and I don't understand it, but Troy knows all the lines.
it's amazing, isn't it?
Amazing.
So for any of you who have not met Troy, Troy is a very tall, slim man. So picturing him as the turkey boy is pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to be going on with that role.
But I think it would be an interesting contrast since I'm like 5'6",
It would be a different scene, that's for sure.
It would be. You know, another thing that's really nice and that the audience really gets from all of this is they get the sense of family and how honestly nice everybody is that's working on the show, behind the scenes and on the stage. Anything that either one of you want to say about that?
Yeah, I would. You know, that's interesting. You talk about the audition process, and I've certainly worked with producers and directors who try to sort of tunnel vision and see the performer and see who's got the best acting chops and who can create the character the best in the audition, and that's the person they cast. And it really has tried to shut out any opinion of their personality but honestly, it is such a collaborative art. You're spending that time in the rehearsal period, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week with the rest of this cast. In order for that time to be fruitful, it's got to be positive. It's got to be a rich environment, and to have, you just can't have negativity. It just poisons the whole process. So you can have the best actors in the world, and if they're not friendly and they don't get along and they're not amiable people, it doesn't matter. It really, that's equally important to talent, is just ability to be a nice person.